Trick or Treat is directed by Michael Dontry. Intertwined stories demonstrate that some traditions are best not forgotten as the residents of a small town face real ghosts and goblins on Halloween. Tales of terror reveal the consequences of a jack-o'-lantern before midnight and a grumpy hermit's encounter with a sinister trick-or-treater. What's going on, YouTube? This is the Low Key Cave, Keyshawn Ives' YouTube page, aka Mr. Low Key, and we back with another movie review, and we are doing Trick or Treat. This came out in 2007. I think it came out in 2007. I'm not sure, but if I'm not mistaken, this came out in 2007. Anyway, Trick or Treat is one of those sneak up horror movies that came up upon me. I checked it out a long time ago. I rented it from Blockbuster. That's how long ago it was. I rented it from Blockbuster. If I'm not mistaken, this wasn't even released in theaters. It came out on straight to DVD, back in the day. And I don't know the story behind this or why it came straight after DVD. But anyway, the movie Trick or Treat circles around a town, and it's kind of an anthology series, but in a way it plays out kind of like Pulp Fiction. If you ever seen a movie directed by Quentin Tarantino called Pulp Fiction, it's like a story evolving around a bunch of people, but it's not evolving around one person. It evolves around just different random people, and it goes from one person to another person to another person. And then Trick or Treat, this one evolves around basically 4 stories involving multiple people, but 4 stories. The first one involves, the main story is basically the tradition of Halloween. Things you're supposed to do and things you're supposed to continue to do throughout the night of Halloween, and things you're not supposed to do until Halloween night is over. I have my lovely wife here joining me for the review, and she's a huge fan of Trick or Treat, being that she has her own little souvenir here that you can see. I hope the light not too bright, but you can see Sam. It's never been took out. This woman right here loves Trick or Treat. Hold it, let me see it. I ain't gonna make you hold it. As you can see, she loves Trick or Treat though, so I definitely had to have her here for the review or whatnot. But like I said, Trick or Treat mainly revolves around a town and revolves around stories, but these are not stories that's told from like a crypt keeper or anything like that. It's just it's just stories. It's just going into a town and people that you are following in each situation. And each situation that basically dives into another situation that dives into another situation on Halloween night. And all these situations happen all on one night, which happens to be Halloween. The first situation or the first story you get is basically just the traditions of Halloween and sticking to the traditions without the night being over.
What it's about, or what I like the most about Trick or Treat?
Well, mainly the first story, I would say what the first story is about.
I felt like the first story was about it was more keeping up with a Halloween tradition, but I guess the tradition don't blow the jack-o'-lantern out. And she blew the jack-o'-lantern out before Halloween was over because she was ready to take the decorations down.
And I'm going to say somewhat spoilers, because this movie did come out in 2007. And if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section if I was wrong as far as 2007. If I'm not mistaken, this did come out in 2007 though. But what I took from the first story, and it's a short story, if I even feel like that was a story, I feel like that was the intro to it, because that first one happened even before the credits start rolling. But it was that husband saying, "Hey, you're not supposed to do this." He said it's tradition. But she's like, "I can't stand Halloween." She wasn't even feeling it anyway. And when she started doing this in the third, you had Sam standing over there. I just love how everything connects. That's my thing I really enjoy about this. I got to be honest, it's not really that scary, but I honestly enjoy how everything connects. Because like I said, it's not your traditional storytelling. It's not your traditional anthology thing. Well, it's an anthology, but it's not the traditional way anthologies are told. Like I said, no Tales from the Crypt, no Tales from the Hood, or no but somebody sitting there telling you the story or whatnot. You had certain movies like VHS or whatnot has done things like this after movies like this, who have done things where they ain't got nobody's telling the story. But anyway, with Trick or Treat, like I said, that first one is more of a tradition. The second story goes into when it's sticking to traditions as far as always check your candy. This one was almost like you had this teacher basically poisoning kids. It's not funny, but you had this teacher poisoning candy, not only candy, but basically mass murdering kids or whatnot. And even the way this story went, it was almost like it was supposed to be kind of comedic, but at the same time disturbing, being that he had a child buried in his backyard. Not only that, his son sitting up there basically asking him, and you confused because you thinking his son just wanted to go out and do normal trick-or-treating stuff. How do you feel about this one?
The second one, yeah, I feel like it's check your candy, because you right, he was out there poisoning kids. Like, he sat down and talked to the little boy and everything, watched him eat the whole candy bar, and then he killed them. The whole time I thought the little boy was talking about a real jack-o'-lantern. I didn't think he was talking about a head, so that kind of threw me.
You talking about the father when he took his son down there in the basement?
But I also thought he was gonna kill his son too.
I think they took everybody off guard, because I definitely was took off guard. And he's sitting down there spinning the head, because at first I'm thinking, is you about to kill your son, man? I'm thinking, oh, he about to kill his son. But no, it got even more disturbing. The fact that you trying to turn your son into a mass murderer just like you is like, damn. That, yeah. But like I said, once again, it's all about the connection. And like I said, everything is connecting. Each story and each thing that's going on, each plot detail is everything that's connecting. Going into the next one, if I'm not mistaken, the next story is the bully and whatnot, or is the kids, right?
Yeah, the bus.
Okay, yeah, the story about the bus. Anyway, you going into this one, you got this whole thing about this little girl. She's telling the story about this bus or whatnot who had these special needs kids on there or whatnot. And just so happened, it was a Halloween day, and they was all dressed up whatnot. It's a very disturbing story, and this story alone could have been his own movie. The story that this little girl is telling, it really could have been his own movie. But being that it is, basically had the story about these parents who basically want to get rid of these kids because they're not normal and they don't want to be embarrassed by them, so they play a bus driver to basically kill them or whatnot. So it's like, damn. Like I said, these are some disturbing things that's going on in Trick or Treat. At the same time, it's almost feel like it's trying to be somewhat comedic, but not like, it's like dark humor, like black comedy or whatnot. But anyway, being that that's told, you basically have the this is the past too. You have this little girl telling this story. So we go into present day, and you basically got this group of kids, and they trying to find a whole bunch of jack-o'-lanterns, and you don't know what's really going on at first, but they all meeting up together to get this girl who's a big fan of Halloween, and this little girl basically seems like an outcast or whatnot, and you kind of can see what's going on, and you see that they somewhat are not friends, but you don't really know what's going on yet. Long story short, you basically have them trying to set this prank. This whole thing is set up around a prank, and this prank goes horribly wrong, very wrong, but it all comes around to this whole thing of, I guess you could say, bullying, and at the same time it's sticking with the tradition of Halloween, because these kids are not taking this serious as far as Halloween or whatnot. They're just trying to play this prank. But this little girl who's this outcast or whatnot, she really does like Halloween. She enjoys the tradition. She has a whole bunch of jack-o'-lanterns outside of her house that's lit up. How did you feel about this one? Slide back in these. Yeah, so we can see. You know, my audience want to see this beautiful woman.
I like this one. I like this one because it connects to one of my favorite stories. But I felt like they got what they deserve. They should.
Which story? You said this connected to one of your favorite stories.
Yeah. It connect to the other story when
it's late on. Or we ain't talked about that one yet? Oh, okay,
yeah, we haven't talked about it yet. The tradition was they need 8 jack-o'-lanterns because it was 8 kids on the bus.
I forgot about that.
You know, that's why she had never been down there, but I felt like they got what they deserved. They shouldn't have took her down there trying to scare her when she was really interested into it because she really liked the Halloween. So that's another reason why I liked it, because they got what they deserved.
Okay, being that they are still kids, and
I
you know
mean,
kids are going to be kids, I do get what you said, but it was still like, damn, they kids.
but
But like I said, you reap what you sow, and you do certain things, and at the same time, it's those traditions that's coming in. Like I said, going into the next story, it was almost, what was this, like the Little Red Riding Hood,
yeah,
the wolf or whatnot, but it was flipped. And that's another thing I like about Trick or Treat in the stories. I didn't know what was coming. I didn't see what was coming with each story. I was actually took off guard with a lot of the stories, and if not all of them, I was took off guard. With this one, it was not the most surprising one. It wasn't the most surprising one, but it was that one that was like, oh, so this Negro was here the whole time, and that whole thing that come back around with the whole connection with everything that comes together with the stories as far as Trick or Treat go. And with this one, we have these girls that's trying to get together, basically have a little get together party or whatnot. It's teenagers trying to party or whatnot on Halloween night, trying to have I ain't gonna say a Halloween party, a costume party, because they out there in the middle of the woods. I ain't never done nothing like that. I don't know nothing about it as far as going out in the woods partying. But anyway, you know how it is, these horror movies or whatnot. But anyway, all of the girls out there, and they got this one friend who just happens to be on her way. But I'm sitting here like, why is she walking in the woods by herself? She walking in the woods by herself on her way there. And you got this one dude who's dressed up in this black suit or whatnot, like some black knight or whatnot. And he already done committed one crime, and I guess you wouldn't know he did it because it's Halloween night. But he do some shit where it's like, he biting this girl, and it's like, you don't feel this? Like, what's up with you? You do not feel him biting you? She's all turned on and, no, nigga, you don't feel him biting you? But anyway, this same dude that commits this murder or whatnot, he's going after this one friend who does not go with her other friends for somewhat of a reason, and you're trying to still figure out, like, what's going on? Because why would she do this? Anyway, this guy comes up on her, he somewhat attacks her or whatnot, and you thinking, oh, so this nigga must be a real vampire. So now I'm guessing we into this story about this vampire that's chasing these girls. You skip ahead because he basically goes in to bite her, and it's like a scene skips. And all of a sudden, you get back to the party where all her other friends are and whatnot, and this dude just fall out the sky. This nigga, like, and it's this dude, and I'm sitting here like, what's going on? What's going on? How did you feel about this story?
This story took me by surprise. I didn't expect none of it. From the way it started, I thought it was gonna be more about the dude and him killing, I guess, females all night, or him on a stroll.
Almost like a serial killer / vampire type of story. I don't know, but you right. Like I said, most of these stories took me off guard.
With her trying to find a date, or it being important with her finding a date that night, I was still thrown by them being werewolves. I thought it might have been more like, I guess, witchcraft or something to do with a cult, not necessarily
like the craft, like something like the craft or something.
Yeah, not necessarily werewolves.
But when they started transforming, and even when they took his teeth out, I'm like, so this nigga not even a vampire. And when you knew he wasn't a vampire anyway when they took the mask off of him. And that's another thing. That surprise, it was too, like, the surprises just kept on coming, and it's like, oh, so it's him, the serial killer, and you got what's coming to you now. Everything comes back around, and you got these girls start transforming into vampires. Not only does this story flips for Trick or Treat, but it flips the whole story of the Little Red Riding Hood story. It flips it from what it, as far as this wolf turning into these girls actually being a wolf or whatnot. I just thought that was interesting, and the writing behind it, and them not only flipping it from being a Halloween story, but flipping it from being a fairy tale and doing what they did with it. Going from this, we go into our last story, right? And this is where we focus on our boy in the background, Sam. Like I said again, we come back into this whole thing about the connection, and we get into the story about this old man who's basically just living in the house by himself. He don't want to it's all about the tradition, like I said, about the Halloween tradition. And you got this old man who don't want to give candy to kids. You got kids ringing his doorbell. They trying trick or treat. They trying to get candy, and he don't want to do that. He trying to scare them off. He ain't trying. He is scaring them off with a damn poodle. Anyway, he got one kid that actually comes up and rings the doorbell. This time, it's Sam. like I said, if you've been paying attention to our review or whatnot, and like I said, this is an old movie. It came out in 2007. Sam is the whole key to this whole movie. He's not the protagonist. I ain't even gonna say the villain, because Trick or Treat, this movie is, I guess, it's his movie. It's the whole thing of, as far as the traditions, as far as going into doing Halloween, jack-o'-lanterns, candy, dressing up, everything. And as far as this old man, you think at first it's all about him not giving these kids this candy, and you got him getting attacked by Sam, because at first it's just him playing around and shit. He running around the house or whatnot. This was one of the, if not to me, the creepiest and actually most intimidating stories that was as far as Trick or Treat go.
This was my favorite one.
Okay, I understand that. It's not my favorite one, but I enjoy it. My favorite one is actually the I would say the Zombie Kids. I actually enjoyed it. Is that one? Yeah, I have to think about it. I don't know why. This one might be my favorite. I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is my favorite one. For one, you get to see Sam. For two, you get to learn his rule, of Halloween, trick or treat. If somebody knock on your door, you give them candy and they good to go. But it was like my husband said, it was a deeper story to that as well. And also, I like this episode. This story too, because you get to see Sam unmasked.
And this whole time, you not knowing if Sam is this little kid that's running around, watching people do these heinous acts on Halloween night or whatnot, and do these murders or whatever they doing as far as sticking to the traditions. It just so happened that Sam is a demon. I'm guessing a Halloween demon. So a demon is protects Halloween night, but makes sure everybody sticks to the traditions of Halloween. But this last story just so happened to dealing with this old man just to be way deeper than that. And the fact that we don't even realize this all the way to the last act, right? Because it don't happen to the last act when these zombie kids show up on his doorstep, and you like, oh no, it's when he looking through the pictures, right?
No, they show up on his doorstep for some
candy. That too, but you still figure something out when he throwing the pictures away.
Oh
because
yeah,
this before that.
Throwing the pictures away.
But anyway, just so happened this old man happens to be the bus driver that was driving the bus for the special needs kids that ran into the river, and he's the person that was in the story that the little girl is telling that died from the zombie kids that was bullying the little girl. Like I said, everything is just connection. Just like the man that got ate by the werewolves that turned into girls, he was the serial killer that was helping his son poison the candy that was killing the kids, and he was the one burying the kids in his backyard. All the connection or whatnot, like I said. And by the time this movie ends, like I said, it's like the beginning of the end, because it's taking you right back to the beginning, because it's showing you the beginning of the movie where we just started at, showing where we came from or whatnot. But all around, like I said, it's not the scariest movie in the world, but it's just original storytelling. It was something that I hadn't seen in a long time, if not at any time, because like I said, if I had seen anything like this, it was mostly something like a Tales from the Crypt or Tales from the Hood. I can't honestly think. I hadn't watched movies like Tales from the Creep Show or stuff like that. So, being that this was an anthology movie, like I said, it felt more like a plump fiction. If you know what that movie is, that's Quentin Tarantino's, and you know how all those stories intertwine and all those stories connect or whatnot. So that's why I really enjoyed this. Not only that, just all the Halloween connections. I'm a Halloween fan. I love horror movies. So that was pretty much how I felt about this. And like I said, this is a retro review. So I was almost like, it was somewhat of a recap and a review. But I really wanted to do this because my wife really enjoyed this movie. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to put her on this.
Well, whatever. That is that. But I like this movie. I like it because it was something different. I really like Sam.
Like I said, not at the case yet. They got a whole case with this out. But like I said, this was pretty much our review of Trick or Treat. And I'm trying to think if I missed out on anything. I don't think I did. Like I said, I just enjoyed these stories overall. Like I said, I feel like they be saying there's 4 stories. I feel like it's 5 because, like I said, I feel like the first one, before the credits open up, that's a story. But anyway, other than that, let me know if y'all have checked out Trick or Treat. If I'm not mistaken, let me know if I'm wrong. This came out in 2007. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section. But let me know how y'all feel about Trick or Treat, especially being that this is October, the month of Halloween. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is the road to 300 subs. Shout out to all my subscribers. Shout out to everybody checking me out. You got anything you want to say?
No.
Well, I do appreciate you coming through and joining me on my review. Like I said, I know this is one of your favorite movies. Y'all make sure y'all give a shout out to this beautiful woman for coming through and showing me some love. This is my beautiful wife. But anyway, make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe button, man. We out.